Hi, my name is Carolyn, and I will be your creative leader for Paint Night this evening, where we like to paint creatively. First of all, does everyone have a drink here? Anyone? Anyone? If you need a refill or a refreshment, please let our server know, because we're here to have a great time tonight. So let's go ahead and get started. I'll tell you a little bit about myself. My name is Carolyn, and I am a native of California's wine country. I relocated to Oklahoma about 8 years ago with my husband. When we lived in California, I was a middle school home ec and art teacher. But it was the year I spent teaching overseas in the former USSR in a city called Zaporozhye, Ukraine, where I grew to appreciate the beautiful folk art painting. And when I came home, I wanted to learn how to paint all the beautiful designs that I saw and also purchased while I was there. I'm certified to teach a certain style of painting, a little bit of which we will incorporate tonight. Before we get started, and everybody has a drink, has anyone been to Paint Night before? Anybody? That's okay if you've never painted before, haven't painted since middle school, because you don't need any prior skills. Your paints are going to mix. Your water will get muddy. This is a no judgment zone. We don't need any negative Nellies, no Debbie Downers. If you think your painting stinks, well, I'll tell you what, maybe you need another drink. We're going to rock out to some tunes tonight to get that creativity going. But when you hear the music stop, that is a cue that I am about to give another step, another instruction in the painting. So please pause your conversations. This is kind of like musical chairs, a little bit like we played when we were kids. When the music stops, please pause your conversations, because we're going to get another step in doing our painting. If you're not feeling this piece, please feel free to freestyle. This is your painting. This is your masterpiece. If you need help or if you need more paint, just get my attention. Hey, Carolyn! And I will be more than happy to help you. For this piece, we are namely going to use white and blue. We're going to be mixing all of our paint with a bit of white because, well, it's a snow scene. It's one of my favorites because it reminds me of dressing a paper doll, really. If you'd like to paint a bowler instead of a beanie on your snowman, go for it. If you'd like to use other colors than the ones I've chosen, go for it. Arms, no arms, the painting is yours. Again, you're going to be mixing your paint with white. Don't be afraid if there's a little blue in your white on the background or on your snowman, because you always want to cut your white with a little bit of another color so that that part of your canvas doesn't just look naked and unpainted. Next to you, you're going to find your paint, 3 brushes, a water cup, and some paper towels. Please be careful to keep your drink cup and your water cup separate. We are going to mostly be using this large brush today. I will tell you that when you want to change paint colors, to use the paper towel next to you and to squeeze the paint off into the paper towel so that most of the paint is in the paper towel and does not go into your water cup. So that will keep your water cup from getting so muddy so quickly. You can also choose to dunk your paintbrush into your water cup to make your paint less viscous. That's a big word to say. To make your paint flow more easily, especially when you're trying to cover a large area such as your background and your snowdrifts. There are 3 components to this painting. We have our snowman, we have our snowman, we have our horizon, and we have our background. Better said, let's cut this part out. Our painting has three components. We have our foreground, our snowman, and our background. What we're going to do first is to block out our snowman. And what I want you to do is to take your small brush and to dunk it only in your blue paint, because we want the edge of the snowman to be the darkest. We're going to come over to our canvas and we're going to make one parenthesis, and then we're going to make a second parenthesis. You don't need to join them at the bottom, because in our next step, when we make our snowdrift, you will cover up part of what you have just painted. Now for the second snowball, go ahead and make a parenthesis and then a second parenthesis, and go ahead and join your strokes with a curved one across the bottom. And go ahead, once you've made them, go ahead and stroke over them to give them continuity of a circle. To me, this kind of looks like a Pac-Man laying on its back, if you happen to remember Pac-Man. For the head, I want you to come up, put your brush up at 12 o'clock. You can hold it like a minus sign. And I want you to stroke counterclockwise from 12 o'clock to 6 o'clock, and then do that with the other side. So we're going to go again from 12 o'clock to 6 o'clock clockwise, because you always want to pull your strokes, never push them. So now our snowman is blocked out. I want you to take your large brush, and now we're going to mix our paint colors. I want you to first dunk your paintbrush in your white paint, because we're painting snowdrifts. And go ahead and work that into your brush a little bit. And now come over and just side swipe, just dunk the corner of your brush into the blue paint, and stroke it back and forth a little bit to make your to mix your color for your foreground. So we already have Mr. Snowman. We want Mr. Snowman to look like he's off on the horizon a little bit. I'm going to come over here to my canvas, and I'm going to start on the side and holding the edge of the brush with the blue side, because that's going to meet our horizon. We want you to just stroke back and forth. Make a couple of slightly curved strokes. Go under the snowman that you've just made. And if you want to add a little bit more blue paint under the snowman to look like shadow, go ahead. If you'd like to make this third snowdrift, across the front, go for it. Have fun. This is a lot of fun because it is not just white. Snow is not just white. So knock yourself out and dunk your paint in your white and your blue, and hold your paintbrush like a minus sign, and just go back and forth and have some fun with the strokes. Your puddles are going to run together. If you're a bit OCD about this, just think about a movie that probably all of us have seen, and well, let it go, let it go. If your puddles run together, don't worry about it. So, looks like we are now ready to do our background. Our background is done by, again, this time dunk your paintbrush primarily in your blue paint. It's okay if you have some streaking or color striations, because that makes your background look interesting. You don't want it to look like a solid color comic book or Sunday cartoon, because you have no color variation. Come up around your snowman that you've made. It works best to work from the bottom up. Come up around your snowman, and then just stroke and fill in all of the empty space that we have left on the canvas. Go ahead and paint all of it blue. And don't forget also to paint the sides, because when this hangs on the wall, you want the sides to be painted as well. Okay, now we are ready to do the snowman's hat. We want you to take your large brush and squeeze the paint off of it like we had talked about before. And I want you to dunk your brush in your green paint and stroke it back and forth a little bit, and then sideswipe your white paint a little bit so we can get the illusion of snow on Mr. Snowman's hat. I'm going to hold my brush again with the white portion, the paint I have loaded with white at 12 o'clock and the green paint at 6 o'clock. I'm going to go up and around Mr. Snowman's head. You do not have to touch the stroke that you made for Mr. Snowman's head, because that will be covered by the next stroke you make for the cuff. We actually want to leave a little bit of white space here so that we don't wind up painting his hat where it looks like it's down over his eyes. So now that we've done Mr. Snowman's hat, let's come down here and we're going to paint the scarf. This will cover up the ends that we may have made when painting the hat. And we're going to paint the scarf by, again, if you need to reload your brush, we're going to hold the white side up, and at the angle that you've made in your snowball, about a 45-degree angle, I want you to stroke. Doesn't matter if you go right to left, left to right. If you didn't notice, I'm left-handed. We're going to stroke across under Mr. Snowman's chin, you know, because it's really, really chilly. We want to give him the illusion that he's all bundled up, and we'll join both sides of the hat that we've made as well, in case there happens to be any sloppy ends. So we're going to stroke under Mr. Snowman's chin and then just continue the stroke out in a diagonal upward motion, which will give us the shape of the scarf. The shape of the brush, because we're using a flat brush versus a round brush, will help us to do that. If you would like, you can touch the end of your brush to make some bristles. I'm sorry, not bristles, to make fringe. That's what it's called, bristles on the brush. And then to make the second side of your scarf, you want to hold your brush like a minus sign again with the white paint to the top edge, and you're going to pull down and just move your brush gently down and then up. Again, the shape of the brush will give you the shape of your stroke. If you would like to make a knot, take your little brush and dip it in your green and your white paint and just stroke around in a circle or in a bit of a square with the white paint at the edge you want highlighted, and that will form your knot. So we are about almost done. Wow, are we having fun? Does anybody need some more refreshment? Go ahead, let's give our server a shout out if you need a refill. We're almost done. Can you believe it? To make the eyes and the buttons on Mr. Snowman's tummy, we're going to either use the handle of your large brush, or you can even use your fingers, because it's fun to get your fingers into the paint. So we're going to take the end of the large brush and just touch the end of the large brush into your black paint puddle and touch wherever you would like to place your eyes and your mouth. You can move around a little bit to make your circles a little bit larger. There is enough paint on the end of the brush to do that. So we'll go ahead and make our eyes. And I always like to start in what I perceive as the middle and work outward to make the mouth. It's more aesthetically pleasing to make an odd number of dots. So I start with one dot and then work outward. I've made 5 here, and I have three buttons, or 3 lumps of coal. Yeah, I hope Santa doesn't bring that to me this year. So now the last thing for us to do is to add arms. If you would like Mr. Snowman to have some arms, I want you to take your small paintbrush and clean it off if you need to, and touch your small paintbrush in your brown paint puddle. We're going to come over to the canvas, and it really depends on what you'd like. You can make the arms go up diagonally, kind of in a flicking motion, or if you want Mr. Snowman to have elbows, you're going to put your brush at a 45-degree angle. I think. Was never very good at geometry, but put your brush at an angle and move your brush with the skinny edge. It's called the chisel edge. I want you to move it diagonally downward, and then pick it up, change directions, and again move your brush downward. And as you come to the end of your stroke, lift your brush up so you're only on the very edge, the tippy top of your brush, and flick it a bit. This will give you the thinness at the end of your brush strokes. To add what appears to be fingers, want you to, if you need more paint on your brush, to reload your brush and to come back on the stroke that you've already made. You can also add some white if you'd like it to look like there's snow on Mr. Snowman's arms. I want you to put your brush back on the stroke you've already made, and then stroke. As you're stroking, turn your brush, use your thumb and turn your brush a little bit and pull the stroke out. This will give it a more natural branch appearance. Go ahead and do that on the other side as well. And now, wow, we've done a really good job tonight. The only thing left to do is to add your snowflakes. You can do the snowflakes by using your small brush and clean it off, clean the paint off of it, and dunk it in a puddle of white paint. These are asterisks. They're formed by holding your paintbrush at a 45-degree angle and then rotating to make to use that same skinny edge to make the rest of the strokes. This big snowflake up here is actually really easy. I made my asterisks by always pulling on the skinny side of my brush on the chisel edge, and then I just merely touched, I didn't stroke at all, I just touched my brush to the canvas in the shape of a V ×2 on all of the 6 arms of my snowflake. You can also use the brush handle, use your fingers to make different sized snowflakes. It's yours. Lastly, if you would like to really make your painting pop, take that small brush and dip your paint in all of the colors, well, one at a time, in all of the colors that we have already used, and go back over all of the edges that you've made. Go over, because you've mixed all of your colors with white. You want to make all of your edges as dark as possible. It will really make your painting pop. So go over the snow drifts that you've made. Go over the edge of your snowman. Clean your brush and really go over the edges that you have made on your scarf and on the snowman's hat. Go around the knot that you made. And lastly, take your small brush. You should have a small round brush, and get it wet. Mix it in with a little glob of whatever colored paint, probably the blue paint, and mix it up until your little glob of paint and water is about the consistency of milk. Roll your paintbrush out of what you've just done out of that little puddle, and that will give you a great consistency paint so that you can sign your painting. Go ahead and sign your painting, and we're done. Thank you so much for coming out tonight. Please, please keep us in mind for private parties, bachelorette parties, bridal parties, corporate events, or even fundraisers. Anytime where you'd like to get a group of friends together and paint creatively and drink creatively as well. We'd love your feedback and what you'd like to paint. We'd love to know what you thought about tonight's experience and give us some suggestions for what you would like to paint. Please send your comments to info@paintnite.com or look up this location on Facebook and post your pictures there. We thank you for coming out, and we hope to see you again. Thank you.